Hi YouTube, and welcome to the very first edition of Spirit of the Earth. It is going to be an off branch of Spirit of the Raven, where we go into animal totems. I'm sure if you guys are watching this, you probably already know what an animal totem is, but just in case, it's when the medicine of an animal starts to come into your life and you start to kind of embody the traits of that animal. For instance, like hawks with their eyesight, being able to really see things from afar, maybe not so much like you're physically going to be able to see, you might actually, but it would be more like spotting opportunities, or like one of my favorites that I just covered on the blog would be shark medicine. So being able to smell a drop of blood, like feeling your gut intuition, it's like, I need to go this way, like I need to go that way, and just being able to go. So taking on a totem of an animal is embodying the things in that animal that you would want to see in your life. Maybe not even want to. Sometimes you're kind of like, when the animal comes around and you accept the medicine, you kind of just start to embody it. On Spirit of the Earth, we're going to go over an animal every single week and really dive into the traits and the lessons that it's trying to teach you and it wants you to learn more of. So I'm really excited. Let's get started. Okay, so for today we are going to go over the very first animal, which is all about new beginnings and some interesting endings. So it's the end to one era and the beginning of a new one. Welcome to bat medicine. A lot of people don't really like bats, and I think it's because the energy can be a little bit intense. So in a lot of native cultures, bat was actually the initiation into becoming a shaman. In a lot of different cultures, actually, bat can represent shamanic practices and moving past the veil. The reason that a lot of people don't like to mess around with this totem animal is because it is a creature of the dark. So, what do I mean by this? Well, if you have sharks coming to you, you're gonna have to go into the water. Like, and when I say that, I mean emotions. A lot of the water creatures, they deal with your emotions. So if you're going to learn from shark, you have to be comfortable going into your emotions. Whereas with bat medicine, if you're going to work with the bat, you can't be afraid of the dark. You have to be willing to go into the dark and face whatever's in there. And I think this is why people kind of sometimes get nervous when you're talking about working with bat totem, is because they don't want to face certain things, they don't want it to be painful. But the darkness isn't painful. What's painful is the things that you keep in the dark that you don't want to look at. Because in the dark, you can have beautiful things, you can have creativity. This is where your creativity comes from. When you have that spark of genius, like, I want to do this, and like, I have no clue where that came from. Like, yeah, well, it came from the dark. And you also have things that you hide there that you don't want to see. So that'd be your demons, your secrets, traumas, things like that. So depending on how much dark and shadow work you've already done, working with bat medicine does not have to be hard whatsoever. A lot of it will be, though, if you haven't faced certain things. Obviously, going into the dark, these things will notice you are in the energy. So if you are just watching this out of curiosity of like what I'm doing, or what is bat medicine, what is bat totem, that's fine. But if you're in bat medicine, if you're going through the energy right now, then you know what I'm talking about when I'm saying that things will start getting darker. Not saying that there's anything wrong with the dark or bat medicine. The first thing that you want to do with bat medicine, and you'll notice, is the introversion phase. When you think about a bat, other than it flying around and making weird fluttering noises, you think of, it laying upside down from the ceiling in its own little fetal position. With this, I want to remind you that when you do shadow work and when you are working with the bat, it is so crucial for you to love yourself, for you to hold yourself through it, really protect yourself from certain energies as well, because there's no reason why you should slip into a depression or into I want to say like play around with thoughts that aren't good for you, because I know like a lot of people have those, you know, in their own darkness, those thoughts that are kind of like, you're not good enough, and like, no, you know. That's why like the first thing with bat medicine is learning to self-care, learning to self-love, because this doesn't need to be a painful process at all. So while you're in this position, you're going to not physically, I mean, if you want to hang upside down from your ceiling and really take on bat, please feel free, send me pictures. I would love to see that. But while you are in this energy upside down, like you're going to want to take inventory of your life. So who's around you? What are your thoughts? What are your patterns? Is there anything that you're doing that maybe your family's done, that you watched your parents do? Things like that. Like really look at things and be brutally honest with yourself. That really will kind of force that to your forefront. It's funny, the universe has ways of when it wants to teach you a lesson and you don't know how to learn it. You don't really even need to know how to learn it. Like it will put it in your forefront of, hey, like, wow, doesn't this remind you of your grandma a little bit, you know? Like, and sometimes not in the best ways, just kind of bringing up that those patterns. And that's one of the best medicines of that. The whole process is going from this death into rebirth position, because you're meant to shed something. That's why you're going into the dark. That's why you're working with that. You're trying to change something. You're trying to grow deeper into spirit, which we'll get into why Bat is so good at that in just a little bit. So as you're taking inventory, you might start noticing that you want to cut some people out. You want to cut some habits out, maybe some things that no longer make you feel good anymore, like even just objects around you. It's kind of like get rid of it, like trash it, you know? And during this phase, it's really, really helpful to look at your own expectations as well. So if you're one of those people like always like, oh, look at what's happening, it's all burning, my life is terrible, this is happening, and I'm always complaining, and you know, it's going to make you look at those things and be like, well, you know, like what you think about is what you're going to get. So if you want to hang out in the dark, you know, and play around with your little demonic friends in your head, you know, like feel free to, but the Bat is offering you a new way to look at it, which is like the Hanging Man in the tarot deck, which I totally want to kind of keep out because it's like the perfect energy, you know? So I'm looking for it. But when it comes to the Hanging Man, it's kind of about like looking at things from a new perspective, you know, and that's kind of what Bat is asking you to do. I found it. I'm going to leave this one out. You can't see it. I'll put it on my, I'll see it. Anyway, it's all about kind of looking at your life from a new angle. Like, you know, how can I do this a little differently? Maybe a little bit better. That's definitely a key point of Bat. One of the things is vampires. How can you talk about bats with not going into vampires? And I think this kind of also goes into taking inventory. You know, not only are you looking out for vampires in your life, like people, you know, situations, time killers, you know, things that are like even browsing on social media for too long, like what is sucking your energy. But also I want you to look at in what ways are you being a vampire, you know, because we all need something. So some people feed off of, you know, like expressing themselves. So music or art or this, like exactly what I'm doing, you know, like in a way it's me expressing myself by I'm getting something from that. So you can turn that vampire energy into something beneficial because we all have to eat, you know, like, but I mean, do you need to go like suck the blood off of like, you know, like someone who's gonna probably hurt you, like a lion, like, you know, like is a lion the best animal to go after? So it's kind of like asking you too, like, are you relying too much? Are you being codependent on certain people? Looking out kind of on both of those ends. The biggest thing I want to talk to you about with Bat, which is I think the most powerful energy, because it's like obviously first you got to deal with the fact that you're in the dark, you know, and you like things kind of come at you in the dark a little bit if you haven't already gone there and dealt with some of the stuff and cleared it out a little bit. Is once you're finally done doing that and kind of reviewing everything is now it's time to fly, and they say, blind as a bat. But the truth is, bats actually have great eyesight. Bats can see perfectly fine. It's not that they're blind, it's because they're in darkness, in utter darkness, completely. And like anybody, just like us, if you put us in a dark room, like what do we, like I don't know where I'm at. And then you put like thousands of us together, and it's like, oh crap. But bats, they don't even touch each other. Like, I mean, unless they want to, but like as they're flying, like they don't hit each other. They know how to spot food. They know how to get around. They don't hit the cave walls. And it's all from this method called ultrasound and echolocation. So this is the kind of the medicine that you start tuning into. You start learning how to feel your way through life, not so much thinking it. Because I want you to understand with bat is not only are they a creature of the dark, but they're also a creature of the air. And like I said with the shark being a creature of the water, which is emotions, bats are creatures of the mind. So we're talking about kind of like the darkness of the mind. But like I said, that's where a lot of good things can come from if you know how to use that part of your psyche. So as they're flying around, what they do is they send out a noise. And it's like a clicking noise. And that bounces back to them in an echo and lets them kind of know what's around their facility. And it happens so quick that they don't have to like stop and think about it. They just know, like, oh, there's a moth right there. Like, eat it. And the fact that they're in complete pitch darkness and able to do that is absolutely phenomenal. But you have to see that's what bat is asking of you in your life, and what bat is teaching you is being able to move through your life like it's, I don't know, like you have this sense of knowing, like you don't need to see it to feel it, so you're kind of sending out these signals and energies and kind of letting it come back to you. You start trusting in the process. It's that walking by faith and not by sight. You really start to embody that and live it. And, when you learn how to do that, I mean, amazing things can happen for you. Amazing things can come towards you. So that's kind of why it is such a powerful and respected totem to get. This is why it involves shamanism, is this working with the other side, working beyond the veil. Because one of the things also is with hearing. So obviously they're hearing these ultrasounds, so bats can hear at a frequency that humans are not even close. I think it's like humans can hear like 20,000 hertz and a bat's at over 100,000 hertz. That's a huge difference. That's a lot of things that they can hear that we cannot, which I always find fascinating because it's with any animal that can, see things that we can't see, or like hear things that we can't hear. And so many humans are like, ghosts can't exist, there's no other parallel realities. And it's like, obviously there's some things that we just are not in tune to. So there's obviously something going on. But bats can induce clairaudience in someone who has the totem or is working with the energy. So that's being able to hear things in another realm. Certain things are like picking up radio stations. Maybe they're real, maybe they're not. Hearing music playing that's not there, hearing voices, hearing your name called around the corner, maybe even working with spirits, depending on how far into it you are. And also, like, I think the level of ability you can really learn from the bat definitely can introduce some things to you. And this is partially why it is like shamanism, because you are taking human abilities and you're kind of like stretching them and you're going deeper than that. And that's why bat medicine is so beautiful and such an honor if it comes to you. It's like, on the scale of like easy totems to like not as easy totems, like hummingbird being on this end and like, black widow being on the other end, that's, it's on the end that's not as simple, but its lessons, its beauty, it's like what it brings you is so phenomenal. I mean, usually when you start getting signs of bat medicine, like you're about to go on a journey. It's not just like a one day kind of thing, like where you see a bluebird and you're like, oh, something happy is gonna come. It's like, no, you're gonna go on like, the shaman's death. You're gonna have to really look at yourself. But at the end of this, just like the bat, when it goes right back, it goes around, it mates, it like eats bugs, it flies, it comes back to its, its sacred space, and it goes into like a birthing position, like this position almost ready to kind of like come back into the world. Like, let's see what's going on. So when you enter into bat medicine, the type of person you are going in is very rarely the person that you're going to be coming out. So it's worth it, but the energy is not always simple to handle. But I love Creatures of the Dark, I think, because of that. Because, it's like an artist, like any of my works that I've done, or a musician would do. It's like you go into that place of, where you've experienced pain, where you've experienced like death, being alive, and you create from that place. It's like the universe, like there's so much potential in nothingness. And that's kind of like what that space represents. And it's also the hidden things. So it's like you can't quite see what's going on. You don't know what you're going to pull out of the dark. It's not like you go into the cave and like turn on the lights and you're just like, oh, okay, well, here's like this box of things I didn't want to look at. Like sometimes it's a process that you have to do several different times. So that's like why working with this energy, that's why working with this energy can be so beneficial to people. And especially people that are on the spiritual path, people that work with astrology or tarot cards or healing, especially healers. I think to go to really understand yourself and to heal yourself, bat medicine can really take you into those parts of yourself that maybe you weren't so keen to explore before, or you wanted to explore but it just wasn't time yet. With any totem animal, really embodying that animal for a while definitely helps. Like, look, I'm wearing like black. I'm like, let's do the darker kind of eyes, and that's because I feel like that. But I feel like I'm coming to the end of the energy, which is why I was like, I have to do, for my first one, I have to do bat because I'm in bat right now. So it's like, let me channel this out. But yeah, so that's all that I have to say on bat medicine. On the blog, which I'm going to post the link below, there might be more information there on it if you're really into learning about the bat, and you can check that out. And then also hit the subscribe button, because this is only the first one of many different things that we're going to be doing. Definitely Spirit of the Earth is going to be every single week. You're going to get a new animal that you can learn from, so definitely check that out below. Alright guys, well, thank you so much for joining, and I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Also, if you guys have any animals that you are super wanting to learn about or know about, please feel free to drop those in the comments below. Alright? Thank you so much, and I will talk to you guys soon.